All right, we are live here, SoCon Fast Break Game Day, as we have semifinal game number 1 in the books of the 2026 Ingalls SoCon Basketball Championships here live at Harris Cherokee Center in Asheville. Richmond Weaver, Darren Angel, post-game, and we are breaking down the big win for ETSU, 69-67 over Western Carolina. And my goodness, I mean, there's still so much energy in the building right now. Us trying to get back up here was a fiasco, but we made it just in time. Yeah. And that game was chaotic all the way to the very end. 2 different halves in this game where it looked like Western Carolina was in control of this game. Somehow they find a way to win, make some big shots down the stretch, and get some big defensive stops, 69-67, and they're moving on. Championship Monday for the Bucks.
I'll tell you what a gutsy performance by the ETSU Bucks, man. I mean, that was a big time performance. They battled. Credit to them. They struggled for much of the game, but they really did lock in defensively. I think you and I were talking about it at halftime. One of the stats we brought up was the fact that ETSU only had 5 assists at halftime. But what I'm ultimately getting at is that as part of looking at what ETSU's assist line was, Western had 8 assists in the first half. You know how many Western ended up with in the game?
I think they only ended up with 9.
9. Exactly.
One assist in the second half.
So
there's no ball distribution, no movement whatsoever.
Incredible job defensively by ETSU in that second half. They really, really made Western stagnant. And you could tell, I mean, you know, Western only ends up shooting 37% from the game and 28 from 3 after being, 40 and 50 in the first half.
That's right.
Or 50 and 40 in the first half, I should say.
It was a big time performance in terms of what we saw throughout the season for ETSU, leaning on their defense and being able to lock people down. And we talked about it pregame that if this game gets into the high 70s, into the 80s, that's going to be a recipe for Western Carolina to get a win. It's going to be hard for ETSU to keep pace with that type of ball movement and also scoring distribution. But this was, I mean, prototypical ETSU, grind it and just make things very difficult, and especially down the stretch for Western Carolina, because there in the first half, I felt that it was more of ETSU that was feeling the pressure. It's the number 1 seed. It's the target on your back. Yep. And then when you fall behind, then all of a sudden you start pressing a little bit more. And I'm not talking about pressing full court, half court. No, I'm talking about just internally you start pressing more, and that leads to some bad decisions. That leads to some forced shots and somewhat even lack of effort that we saw from ETSU in the first half.
It was wild. I mean, they were losing all 50-50 balls. They were turning the ball over, or at least not. Let me rephrase that. They were careless with the basketball at times. To your point, they just looked, I don't know if I want to say disinterested, but they were clearly not themselves. And Coach Savage, I can imagine that was an interesting halftime conversation in there.
Oh, there's no doubt.
But, man, did they come out and get it done. And I think one thing that really stands out to me, and this isn't the end-all, be-all, because ETSU, frankly, defensively was just phenomenal in the second half. But Blake Barkley, 6 of 11 from the field, 19 points, really was kind of their go-to guy down the stretch there when they needed a bucket. And Justin Johnson getting hurt about midway through the second half, I think that really, really hurt Western Carolina because he has the size, the length, and the athleticism to be able to stay with a guy like Blake Barkley a little bit more than a guy like Samuel Dada, who had to guard him down the stretch. And look, Dada did a lot of things that helped his team in this game, but he struggled down the stretch to guard Blake Barkley in space.
Well, there's a lot of people that are going to struggle guarding Blake Barkley. There's no doubt. Because one of the things that I think Blake Barkley did so well down the stretch is when he got the ball on the low block, knowing that he had a taller defender on him like Dada, he didn't fall away. He didn't relax in terms of the aggression towards the rim. He actually went into the chest of Dada, and that's what you have to do. You can't be afraid. That's how you're going to get your shot blocked. And he picked up several fouls and was able to convert on the free throw line. But they made it close, though, because Mekhi Johnson missing some of those free throws down the stretch. And there was an opportunity right there. Western Carolina, Marcus Kell, it almost goes in. The desperation three right there.
From our angle, and I know we didn't have the best angle, from our angle, I thought that had a real chance.
No doubt. All right, the other big stat that I circled, and I'm still amazed by this, Cam Morris III had 1 point in this game, and that's one free throw. He was 1 of 4. He attempted 1 field goal in this game. That's unheard of for Cam Morris III. Now, he only played 22 minutes, and also he's the SoCon Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah.
And he was not out on the court the last 5 minutes of this game when they needed defense at the utmost. But Brooks Savage didn't have him in the game. And I just felt that there's something else going on with Cam Morris III there, because, again, how do you not have the Defensive Player of the Year out on the court? It didn't seem like he was connected with the team.
No.
He seemed that there was not a whole lot of effort. So maybe there's something else going on, but I mean, those are staggering stats when you're talking about Cam Morris III.
They are, and I'll tell you, that's a storyline to watch for tomorrow, because it's going to be tough to win a championship without Cam Morris III being what Cam Morris III has been all year.
Oh, he's got to be a double-digit scorer. He's got to be a guy that's flirting with a double-double in terms of rebounds, and got to be a guy that takes control of the game at times, and that's what Barkley was able to do, though.
Yeah, look, I mean, credit to Blake Barkley. He's had a great year, but I was really impressed with him down the stretch. I mean, he made free throws, he made clutch plays, and look, they did a good job. I mean, they got him the ball in space with the ability to go to his right hand, which was clearly what he wanted to do, and they executed. And look, it's terrible because Western Carolina led this game for all but 1 minute and 4 seconds. But the last 2 shots of the game that they got, excluding the prayer that Kel threw up, man, you just have to wonder if you could have gotten better shots. Now, I say all that to say, Stansberry's was downhill. He got his step, but at the same time, he kind of went up expecting a foul opposed to trying to just either go up strong or maybe potentially spray it back out. Yeah. They had time left. They did have to get that if it wasn't.
And the
right
defense
shot.
Collapsed on Stansberry there. He had 3 guys that collapsed, and they went up there, and that's why they were also able to get that defensive rebound, because they had 3 guys standing right there as the shot was blocked. So, again, a huge defensive stop there in the game. And I've also felt that there was a big shot with about 7 minutes to go. Brian Taylor, the second, he hits a big 3. It's out on a transition opportunity, but he catches it inside the 3-point line and realizes where he is on the court, and then takes 1 dribble, steps back, and buries it. And I'm watching it, and I'm thinking, oh, that's a bad shot because he had all the momentum going. All he had to do is just take it to the rim there.
We need any points we can get right now.
Yes, exactly, because they were still down by almost double digits at that time, but he buries it. And that seemed to be a momentum-changing type of shot. Now, it took them a while to overcome the deficit there, and they did right there with just over a minute to go, as you described. But that was a big moment for Brian Taylor to be able to knock down a shot like that. And again, I thought it was a bad shot.
No, it's one of those, if you're a coach on the bench, you're like, no.
Oh, yes.
Yes, thank you. No, I mean, but it's moments like that in these games, though, where you need stuff to go your way like that. And those are momentum things.
Big
those are
time.
momentum changers. And,
yes.
And look, at the end of the day here, too, ETSU, I mean, they shot it pretty well in the second half. I mean, they ended up shooting 47% from the field. So, they kind of really imposed their will that second half. They just had such a big deficit to come back from. It didn't necessarily look as maybe as dominant, because they had to tick away throughout most of the second half to come back and do it.
Yeah, they flip-flopped the halves there, where Western Carolina was in control. They get 15 shots from the field, or 14 there from the field in the first half. They only get 6 in the second half, but ETSU had 9 field goal attempts, or 9 mades, I should say, and then 15 mades there in the second half. So it was a complete flip, and ETSU scored 45 points in the second half. So as much as we were talking about that, they're not equipped to be able to score 85 points. Well, right there, they were able to do it.
Yeah.
But they did it in a way of just grinding and grinding. It wasn't, a big 17-0 run or anything like that. And that's not their style.
No.
But they can grind you and make life difficult for you, turn you over, and they had some key turnovers there in the last 5 minutes.
They did. They had some key turnovers.
Created turnovers.
Yes. And you look at the second half numbers from Western Carolina, 24% from the field, 6 of 25, including 2 of 14 from 3, 14%. That's a killer, right? But what I'm ultimately getting at here is you bring up the point of ETSU kind of grinding it out to come back. That's something that is just not going to be sustainable in the long run. Obviously, there's only one more game left for them. But that's not something that they're going to be able to consistently do, because you're not going to be able to consistently hold teams to 24% and 14% from 2 and 3 respectively and a half, no matter how good you are defensively.
Yeah, no question. And this is actually reminiscent because of how ETSU won this game. And I saw an assistant coach there for ETSU. He was crying. He was in tears. And this reminded me back to that 2022-23 season where it was that same Western Carolina team, obviously different players, but it was the Catamounts that put that type of fear in the Furman Paladins, and somehow Furman was able to win in overtime. And I remember that, the locker room was emotional.
Oh, yeah.
People were crying all over the place because they knew they had somehow held on and got to championship Monday, got over the hump, so to speak. And I'll be curious, is that what we just saw for ETSU right there?
No, that's something that is really interesting that you pull from that. And I think there were a lot of parallels. Obviously, we blew the big lead versus having to come back. But I'll fully admit it. I friggin' bawled my eyes out after all the dust settled in the locker room, because there was just this tenseness and then this sense of just relief of when we got it done. Look, it was a confidence, not an arrogance, but we just kind of felt like, okay, we got that done. We're going to go take care of business Monday night. We just got to get to Monday night.
Right.
If we get to Monday night, we're going to take care of business. And sometimes these games, especially when you're the number one seed, and you and I were talking about this watching this game, sometimes these games are harder than the championship game, because you're expected to get to the championship game. And once you're there, to a degree, you're playing with house money, but you're expected to win that game there. And so there's a little bit more pressure. And when you're not playing well for much of that game, it just builds.
It definitely does. The pressure is different, and having that target on your back. And again, you could see the jubilation from the ETSU fans. Even Brooks Savage was out there, both arms raised up, and he's, almost taunting the fans to cheer even louder that, hey, we did it. We made the comeback. Now get ready for Monday. It's almost that they put their stamp of approval on this type of win. And this is a signature type of win for ETSU. And that's what we see, these type of wins for them. And this is quintessential ETSU, just how they've been able to play. Now, again, they didn't have Alan Struthers. He only played 7 minutes, so that is a factor. I'm not certain what happened. Did he get injured? I didn't see anything specifically there. But having somebody like that has that perimeter type of defense, that does change things, especially based on who they're going to have to be playing tomorrow. And we know in about 10 minutes, that tip-off is going to be going on with the Furman Paladins taking on UNCG Spartans.
Look, tomorrow's setting up to be an incredible championship Monday night. It's going to be a fun one. And I think this ETSU team will be ready. And I think we will kind of see them play with a little bit more freedom from the tip tomorrow.
I would highly expect that. If we don't, then there's something else that is going on inside that locker room. Because as we talked about, this is about the situation, survive and advance. And there we have,
a couple ETSU players right now.
Makai Johnson walking through. We've got Jordan McCollum coming through. Big time win for ETSU, 69-67 here. And again, just seeing some of the fans, again, the emotion, everything. They're so invested into it, and it's all about, can you somehow capture not only the regular season title, but they want the tournament championship, because that guarantees a ticket to the big dance. We know how important that is.
That's the one that ultimately matters, right? You know, you want that opportunity to go play in March Madness, the NCAA tournament. Certainly the regular season matters, and you want to win that. But getting it done tomorrow night, there's just no feeling quite like it. And, you know, you've put yourself in the position to get the number 1 seed, and now you've put yourself in the position to go take care of business Monday night. And so we'll see who they're playing. Does it end up?
No doubt. And hey, let's go ahead and bring in one of the stars right here, Mr. Blake Barkley. Come on in, sir. Yes. Right here. Congratulations. Yes, we're going to have you sit right here.
Congratulations, Blake. Big time game.
Yes, big time game. Let's go. All right, all the ETSU fans are excited. We've got Blake Barkley here on our version of College Game Day, SoCon Fast Break. I mean, I don't even know what to say after that game. Do you have any words?
I mean, I'm still up here. Credit to the guys. You know, we never lost faith in it, and we just stayed together the whole way.
Okay, and talking about that staying together, because there were times, not even just in the first half, but even in the second half, could you feel it slipping away, or did you still have that belief?
Yeah, I mean, they're a great team. Western Carolina, they're the only team we didn't beat all year in the conference play. And so just the physicality, we knew coming into it was going to be super physical. We weren't finishing around the rim. And just staying together, you know, our guys are all faith-based, so we all have belief in God. And, you know, we just kept digging and continue to play and stay connected.
No doubt. Well, Coach Savage had told me that earlier in the season, he recognized you guys gelled pretty quickly, that some of you guys already knew each other to a certain degree. But that was one of the questions coming into the season is how could this team come together so quickly? So talk about that and how that ability to come together so quickly actually maybe one of the reasons why you were able to win this game.
Yeah, well, I mean, the transfer portal is crazy now. I come from an institute where it's like there's a lot of 4-year guys, Northwestern, you know, the education. And so coming here, I didn't really know what to expect. I didn't know anybody except for Makai. You know, we grew up in West Virginia together. But, I mean, off the court, these guys are all great guys. We hang out all the time. I mean, no, there's not a bad seed in the plant, you know. And just everybody stays together and just loves each other, man.
No doubt. Hey, we saw it out there on the court. That's for certain.
Blake, down the stretch, it seemed like the offense was kind of running through you, and you specifically really wanted the ball. Yeah. Did you feel like you had a pretty good mismatch there with Samuel Dada where you felt if you could get the ball in space, you were going to be able to either get something for yourself, get to the line, or be able to create another dribble penetration opportunity for one of your teammates?
Well, I mean, Coach has a lot of faith in me. I obviously didn't have a really strong first half or whatever, but he just kept coming back to me, and he has belief in me, and that's why one of the reasons I came here. And even all the guys, they all have belief in me. You know, Jalen had it going, BT had it going. They could have looked me off and, you know, tried to do something, but everybody had faith in me in the matchup, and it's just we made it here.
Oh, yeah, you did, and it was fantastic. And the most irrelevant stat line is the halftime stat line. You turned it on there in the second half, and even from the defensive side, some big key blocks down there at the end. Talk about just that mentality that ETSU has as far as the physicality and defense.
Yeah, I mean, well, we have that underdog mentality, you know. Coach got a lot of guys that were kind of underlooked, you know. And just I feel like we gel off that, to be honest, and just everybody kind of pushes each other to the max. Our practices, I mean, they're crazy, man. We're pushing each other around, yelling at each other all the time. Exactly. So it's just the physicality and, you know, locking in together and knowing we have one common goal, which is to win it all.
That's right. Well, I loved how you were playing down the stretch, attacking the interior presence of Western Carolina, not falling back, going straight into the defender. So is that something that you just have that instinct, or how has that developed over the years?
I mean, they were kind of sagging off me a little bit. I don't think I've ever shot 5 threes in a game, in a college game at least. So I was letting them go for sure.
Of course, let's do it.
They weren't hitting, so, you know, I had to resort to something else. And, you know, I'm really strong going downhill and trying to finish through contact, and I feel like that's my bread and butter. So I went back to it.
I love it. Hey, well, congratulations on the big win.
Yeah.
Go get some rest, and you'll be ready 7 p.m. tomorrow night. Sure. Championship Monday, ETSU trying to do a double-double, win the regular season championship, and then also take home the tournament championship as well. Sure. Thank you for stopping by.
Thank you.
We appreciate it.
Congratulations.
Yes. That is Blake Barkley, ETSU forward, and the star of the game in all regards. Now, obviously, he got some help. Brian Taylor, the second, had 22 points. Yeah, so it's not all just him, but down the stretch, he was dominant, absolutely dominant. And we talked about it as we were watching that, okay, Blake Barkley needs to touch the ball. He doesn't necessarily have to score, but the offense just seemed to play better once he touched the ball.
No, and that's one of the reasons I asked that question, was because you could just tell when he got the ball, good things were happening, because he was creating advantages in space based on his matchup. But if they brought anybody else or they dug down off the perimeter at all, he was going to be able to put guys in a better situation for an additional dribble penetration. And he also got to the foul line multiple times, too. Obviously, he hit those two big ones.
No doubt.
He had the and one that you mentioned specifically, where he really did a good job getting into the body of the defender and being able to still get a good shot up on the rim. Obviously, it went in.
It was Samuel Dada. I mean, his wingspan is well over 7 feet.
Yeah.
And it was a great job by Barkley and a great job altogether there for ETSU. And now we've got the matchup. The Furman Paladins taking on UNCG Spartans. All right, I know we've already talked about it. Any change of feeling from your perspective as far as what Furman needs to do and what UNCG needs to do? Because it sounds like the game just tipped off.
Yeah, no, I feel pretty good about the Furman Paladins in this one. They're going to have to shoot it well.
Yeah,
and they're going to need to defend, certainly, and get on the glass. But I think yesterday was a really good thing for them to kind of see that sucker go through the way it did. They've figured out a pretty good formula here. I still like the Furman Paladins to face off against the ETSU Bucks tomorrow night.
Yeah,
see who comes home with the crown.
That's right. I do think Furman's going to be able to hit some shots, and I'm just not certain that UNCG is going to be able to slow down some of the perimeter game. Again, if Furman is off, then all bets are off, so to speak, that UNCG might have an opportunity. All right, that is our post game after semifinal 1. Stay with us again, though, because we'll do post-game reactions after the Furman UNCG Spartans, our college game day version of SoCon Fast Break. Until next time, may all your jumpers hit nothing but the bottom of the net.